Welcome, everyone. I'd ask if everyone would please silence your cell phone if you have one with you. The United States District Court for the Southern District of Illinois is now in session. The Honorable David R. Herndon, Chief Judge, presiding.
Thank you, folks. Please be seated. My name is David Herndon. I want to welcome you here as the Chief Judge of the Southern District of Illinois. On behalf of the district judges, first of all, I want to introduce you to Senior Judge William Steele on my far left, G. Patrick Murphy to my immediate left, Michael Reagan to my right, and Phil Gilbert on my far right. We have the Chief Bankruptcy Judge here, who's Laura Grandy, seated to my left in the front. Seated next to her is Don Wilkerson, one of the magistrate judges. To his right is Steve Williams, another of the magistrate judges. And then Cliff Proud, a senior magistrate judge, and they comprise, we all comprise most of the judges of the Southern District of Illinois. Phil Frazier, who is a magistrate judge, was unable to make it, as well as a senior bankruptcy judge, Ken Myers, also unable to make it. I am honored here this afternoon to welcome all of you for this ceremonial swearing in of two new members of Congress, both of whom have districts that embrace in some way the geographical boundaries of the Southern District of Illinois. All of us here today share an intense interest in our government. This court is proud to participate in a time-honored tradition of the judicial branch providing the oath of office to duly elected public officials of the legislative branch, and to do so in the presence of so many family and friends in a local environment. So as we begin this patriotic endeavor, I will call on a group of local attorneys who sing under the direction of Ray Forney. The group includes Judge Steele's law clerk, Julie Fix-Meyer, and is known as the Courthouse Steps. I would ask that you all stand as they favor us with the national anthem. Continue to stand, our U.S. Marshal will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Your Honor. Everyone would join me, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. At this time, I would ask you, Congressman Inyard, if you would make your way a short distance there to the podium, and further ask Judge Gilbert if you would do the same to administer the oath of office to Congressman Inyard.
Is this mic on? Can everybody hear me?
Mic is on, maybe. Turn that other mic around.
It's on? Okay. This around too? Okay, Congressman, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, William L. Inyard,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
That I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and I will well and faithfully discharge
and I will well and faithfully discharge
the office about which I'm about to enter.
the office about which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Congressman, we're going to deviate a bit from the program.
Just like a judge.
Pardon? Permission to deviate from the program.
Permission granted.
A close friend of yours and your wife has come down here to help celebrate this momentous occasion for you. I would like to introduce Senator John Cullerton, who has been a friend of the Judge Eckert and Congressman Inyard for many, many years. Senator Cullerton was first elected to the Illinois General Assembly in 1979, spent 12 years in the House, and then went to the Illinois Senate, where in 2009 he was elected president of the Illinois Senate, and just a few weeks ago was re-elected president of the Illinois Senate. Senator Cullerton and I were classmates in law school, and for part of that time were roommates. When I asked John if he wanted to say anything at the swearing in, he said, "Phil, I'm a politician. What do you expect?" So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce Senate President John Cullerton.
What the judge said is absolutely true. I said there's going to be people and a microphone. I can't help myself. The first day I met Judge Gilbert was the first day of law school, where everybody in our class, about 116 of us, all introduced themselves. And Justice Gilbert was the only one who didn't have an accent. This was Chicago. So we have been friends, and I also would want to add that I really hadn't thought about going into politics then, and the first state senator that I ever met was his father, who was a great man, and was really an inspiration for me. And as the judge said, Annette Eckert, I met maybe in 1974, and I actually had my first date with my wife at her house, and we're still friends. Which is a good thing. And Justice, I want to also thank Justice Tice for coming with me today from the Illinois Supreme Court. Bill, Congressman Inyard, I've met, of course, shortly after I met Annette. We've been friends for many years. And Congressman Davis, I only met in Washington, D.C. Last week for the inauguration of the president. But they both have something in common, and that is they both ran for office in newly drawn congressional districts that I had something to do with. I helped draft them and voted for them, and they were upheld by a federal court, thank goodness. And they were, contrary to some people's opinions, actually drawn with the idea of having competitive districts so that people who get elected, no matter what party, will go to Congress and be forced, because they're in what we call swing districts, they'll be forced to compromise with the other side, to go across the aisle and talk to people in both parties. And I think we need more of that in Washington, D.C. And I am very confident in Congressman Davis doing that, as well as Congressman Enyart. So I want to congratulate both of them, and thank you very much for inviting me here. Thank you.
Congressman, before you get started, there's another audible at the line here. You were not aware, either as I understand it, that Illinois Supreme Court Justice Mary Jane Tice would endeavor to make this trip from Chicago. We're honored to have her in this court on this day. Justice Tice began her tenure on the Illinois Supreme Court on October the 26th of 2010. Her legal career prior to her service to the people of Illinois on the Supreme Court included that as an assistant public defender in Cook County, a Cook County associate judge and circuit judge, followed by 17 years on the First District Appellate Court. Relevant to today's proceedings, as you could tell from the Senator's remarks, she's been Congressman Enyart's and his wife Annette's friend for many, and I'll leave it at just too many years. Justice Tice, if you'd favor us with a few remarks.
Thanks so much, Judge. That's very kind of you to invite me here. This is such a happy day, a great celebration of our country, of our democracy, and yes, for some of us, a very personal celebration. You might note a theme here. Back in the day, John Culligan and Annette Eckert and I were public defenders, practicing in courtrooms such as this. We learned a great deal about what it means to be a lawyer, how to win and mainly how to lose as public defenders. But it was a wonderful experience that, among other things, brought us very close together. And through the years, certainly Annette and I have been through good days and bad days, and today is a very happy day. And I echo John's remarks that the coming together of Congressman Davis as well as Congressman Enyart says something really healthy and positive about our state and about the state of our country, and we look forward to great leadership from both of them. Thank you so much.
Now, Congressman Enyart, if you'd favor us with your comments and remarks.
Well, my time has been vastly abbreviated by remarks.
Well, not at all, not at all.
Justice.
You have all the time you'd like.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to thank Chief Judge Herndon for sponsoring this event, for realizing and recognizing that the people of Southern Illinois needed to see this happen. You know, we can watch it on television, and I will tell you that when I took part in that ceremony in Washington, D.C. on January 3rd, it really wasn't real. You know, it just didn't feel real. There were a couple of people who had managed to come out, but I wasn't surrounded by friends. I wasn't surrounded by family. And so it was a bit surreal. But this is the real ceremony. Because this is the ceremony where I'm surrounded by people that I love, people that love me, and by friends and by supporters, by my neighbors, and by the people of Southern Illinois. So having said that, I have to say, as my grandmother Dallas would say, there are the in-laws and the outlaws. And so I'm going to ask the in-laws and the outlaws, everyone who's here related to me or related to Annette, to please stand up and let everybody know who you are. You know, I can't begin to mention people by name. I'm glad that Senator Cullerton got to stand up and talk, and Mary Jane Tice got to stand up and talk. Of course, there's Justice Golden Hirsch, and countless people in this audience who I've had the pleasure of learning from and working with over these many years. Chairman Kern sitting back there smiling, and of course Tatsi Bailey. And I'm not going to say any more names because I'm going to make somebody mad. I'm going to leave everybody else out. But I have stood in this courtroom and I have argued cases in front of Judge Steele, in front of Judge Murphy, in front of Judge Herndon, in front of Judge Proud. I don't think I've had the pleasure of arguing cases in front of the other judges.
You would have won, had you?
You know, he's trying to get an increased budget for the federal court here in East St. Louis.
Never hurts to try.
And Annette and I, between the two of us, have had the very rare honor of serving in all three branches of our government. Annette, of course, has served in the judicial branch as a circuit judge, the first woman elected a circuit judge in the 20th Judicial Circuit. As the Adjutant General and as a military officer, I served in the executive branch. And now I've been honored by the constituents of the 12th Congressional District to serve in the legislative branch. Today is not the first time that I've taken that oath. I was 19 years old when I took that oath the first time as a young enlisted airman in the Air Force and getting stationed here at Scott Air Force Base. And through the greatest government program that our country ever adopted, the GI Bill, I got to get an education. I got to go to law school. I left the welding line at Caterpillar and got to stand here before you today. So I think I know that I have lived the American dream, that I have risen. My grandparents were sharecropper farmers, never spent a day in high school. My parents, my dad, the best job he ever had was working at Caterpillar, and he never spent a day in college. But because of the investment of the American people in me and in millions of others like me, we have built this great nation. And we will continue to build that great nation. We hear talk about conflict, and we hear talk about gridlock. But you know, last week, we had a president inaugurated again. There were 1 million people, and to stand behind that president and watch as he was sworn into office, while 1 million people stood in peace in front of us. 1 in every 300 American citizens was there watching that ceremony take place. And there were no riots. There were no gunshots. There were no buses burning in the streets. It was a peaceful continuation of power. And that's what our country is all about. And we'll continue doing that. Oh, we have our quarrels, and we have our disagreements, but you see a bipartisan group here today, and Congressman Davis and I have been talking, and we're going to work together to support Scott Air Force Base, and we're going to work together to support agriculture, and we're going to work together for Southern Illinois. We're going to work with John Shimkus, who couldn't be here today, to support Southern Illinois, to work for our constituents, all of our constituents. Now, in closing, I'd just like to say, last week at the inauguration, and I think it was during the benediction, Micah was quoted. And so I'd like to quote from Micah chapter 6, verse 8. And what does the Lord request of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. I want to do that. I know that Congressman Davis wants to do that. And I commend those thoughts to all of us, to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God as you view your God. Thank you.
Congressman Davis, if you would join Judge Reagan at the podium, he'll administer the oath to you.
Congressman Davis, it's my great pleasure and high honor to administer the oath to you today. We assemble here with the three branches of the federal government, the executive branch in the person of the United States Marshal, the legislative branch in the person of you and Congressman Enger, and the judicial branch. And we also welcome our colleagues from the state court. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Rodney L. Davis,
I, Rodney L. Davis,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or for purpose of evasion,
or for purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office of Congressman of the United States.
of the office of Congressman of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God. I'm waiting on the audibles.
No audible, Congressman, but we would appreciate your remarks.
Thank you. Thank you. First off, I want to thank Bill Enger for helping to put this together and standing here to show the bipartisanship that you and I know we will exhibit in Washington, D.C. on behalf of Southern and Central Illinois. Thank you. Mr. Senate President, it was great to meet you a few weeks ago. Bill and I could probably talk to you a little bit about making some tweaks to those lines if you'd like us to. But it's been an honor to get to know you, and I appreciate your presence here, and I look forward to working with you also. Justice, thank you for making the trip today, too. It's an honor to have you here, and I look forward to getting to know you and work with you. I see so many friends and elected officials from throughout the new 13th District that I represent, that I'm truly humbled, because without your support, I would not be standing here today. And without the support of my family, I'll be honest with you, my wife, after being in D.C., coming here, she decided she couldn't miss another day of work. She's a nurse educator, so a little hard to get a replacement to teach the class that day, but she wanted me to offer her best wishes. And we're both, as parents, a little shell-shocked because my daughter, Torin, turned 16 yesterday. Judge, can you please offer some assistance with the Christian County Division, please?
Happy to.
Thank you. Thank you. My twin boys are in school also, and we've already gotten the nasty letter that they may have missed a few too many days of school in January. So we decided to keep them there. But they are the blessings, the reasons why I stood up and chose to run for Congress. We all know it's not an easy process. It's not an easy process to go through a campaign. It's not fun to deal with the issues and the attacks on a daily basis. But that's our system. That's our freedom. We have the ability to stand up and make our arguments, put ourselves out in front of the voters, and let them decide. Without your help, I would not be here. Without their help, I would not have the honor to represent them. Now, I do have some family members here today I want to introduce. My father, if you could stand up, Marty Davis. My stepmother, Donna, is here. Although we don't claim him much in public, my brother-in-law, Paul, is here. My sister, Debbie. And my Aunt Kathleen Cody. They were there when I made the fateful call to tell them, I think I'm going to run for Congress. I don't think many that knew me that are in this crowd thought we'd be standing here today, because frankly, 9 months ago, I didn't think I'd be standing here today. But it is truly a humbling experience to be able to look out into the crowd and see so many people who have had an effect on my life and my career over the last 20 years that I've worked in public service. I miss my friend, my mentor, and I'm not happy he's out of town. I wish he was here today, Congressman John Shimkus. John Shimkus and I have worked together for 16 years. He taught me what it's like to be a servant. All of you who I know who are here taught me what it's like to be a servant. And growing up, my dad and my mom taught me how to be a servant. They taught me an interest in public service by discussing with me how decisions in Springfield and Washington affect the way they run their restaurant. So when I graduated from college, instead of going back to work at that restaurant, I decided to go into public service. And a week later, I met a guy named John Shimkus. And now I stand here today, able to call not only Bill Enyart, my colleague, but John Shimkus, my colleague. And the three of us are going to work together in that same vein of compromise that President Cullerton talked about. That same vein of compromise that seemingly on the 24-hour news cycle gets lost in the rhetoric and the politics and the polarization. But it's that same compromise that gave us the greatest document that we have seen in our country's history. The same document that everyone who comes into this courtroom stands up and swears to uphold. The Constitution of the United States of America. The Constitution of the United States of America was our greatest compromise. We would not have our country the way it is today, the leading beacon of hope in the world that the United States of America continues to be, would not be here, would not be the same without the United States Constitution and the compromise that it took to get it approved. Thank you, judges, for being here today. It's an honor to be with you. Thank you all who chose to come here and watch this ceremony. And I am, again, humbled and honored in your presence to be your United States Congressman. God bless you all, and God bless America.
Thank you, Congressman. I began with aspirations to individually recognize every office holder and public official who took the time and effort to come here today to observe this ceremony and honor Congressman Enyart and Congressman Davis. But the list just got too long. However, Congressman Davis did ask that I take a moment to specially recognize some special guests of his. The Mayor of Grafton, Tom Thompson, is here. The Mayor of Maryville, Larry Gullidge, is here. The Mayor of Decatur, Mike McElroy, is here. And the Mayor of Pana, Steve Sipes, is here. I now ask the courthouse steps to favor us with the patriotic song, God Bless America, and would ask that we all stand as they do that.
As the storm clouds gather far across the sea, we must pledge allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair, as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. God bless us.
on behalf of the entire court for the Southern District of Illinois, I want to thank all of our attendees, particularly the steps who graced us with some beautiful music. Thank you very much. And of course, our new congressmen and their families for agreeing to come here and participate in this ceremony in our court. Now, our public ceremonies are important. They are the outward sign of all the inward values that we hold dear. Enough said. God bless these congressmen. Godspeed. And let's all gather and have a good time in the atrium. Court is adjourned.